Alright, y'all, I may risk getting pulled over by the cops, but I just really need to say this out loud immediately. I'm starting to think, and I'm starting to realize that we may all just be traumatized. We may all just be traumatized for whether it be from our parents, from school, from a combination of the two, from peers, from times we were bullied. But I'm beginning to realize, because when it comes to certain things, like people wanting more out of life, people wanting better, like people wanting to get into shape, we all know inherently what needs to be done. We all know at a base level what we need to do in order to achieve these goals. Even with things like entrepreneurship, we know we got to sell something. We got to sell people a product, and we got to sell it to enough people. We got to price it. Like it's really basic things when it comes down to it. There's no like crazy science. But my point is that more often than not, despite most people, not everybody, but most people know the basics of what needs to be done, so many people fail. So many people fail to stick to a proper diet. So many people fail to put the junk food to bed. Damn, that was a bad start. So many people fail to put the junk food down, despite knowing that it's bad for them, despite knowing that, donuts are not good for you, knowing that things like McDonald's are not good for you. But people fail to put it down, and I just can't help but think that it has something to do with trauma. That there's a sort of comfort. That there's something. And here's the thing: I'm not even 100% sure exactly what it is, but there's something at a base level where that McDonald's symbolizes something. Like for me, I remember McDonald's, when I used to see McDonald's when I was a kid. It was comforting. It was comforting because I would get it every Friday, and I'd watch Friday Night SmackDown. My dad would always get it for me every Friday from the I almost said the town of where I got it from. I'm not gonna say the town because I don't trust you guys. Not that you guys are bad people, but people on the internet are weird. You never know, somebody could like track me down or whatever. But every Friday night, and I'd watch SmackDown. I'd have the little Happy Meal. I'd have the chocolate milkshake and with it and whatnot. And maybe that had something to do with me not being able to give up junk food for a while. It was comforting. I associated it with comfort. And when it comes to things like binge eating, same thing. You associate it with comfort. You feel full. You feel, I guess it's just that feeling of fullness. It's almost similar to love in a way. I could just be waffling on, all right? What I could be saying could be absolute BS. Or at least not exactly. Like, I feel like this is a prototype. This is a prototype of what I really believe, of what my true beliefs are regarding trauma and whatnot. I finally parked, so now I can set the phone down. For those of you who were annoyed by that, and I can turn the car off as well. I just can't help but think that trauma runs deep. Trauma runs deep, and I just watched this video from Hamza where he describes how video games were his escape from trauma. All right, he was traumatized as a child. He was constantly hit. He had family issues and whatnot, and video games were his safe haven. Video games were a place where he could almost turn his brain off and just feel safe, feel welcome. And I didn't even realize that myself. I can't help but think that was the same thing for me when I was playing video games all the time. Now, that doesn't mean that my parents beat me and whatnot, that my parents were terrible. Absolutely not. They did beat me, but it was always warranted. Like, it was always like, one time I stole an iPod from my aunt, and I got beat for it. I can't. I see the exact logic as to why. I stole something. I understand why I was beat. But when it came to other things, like constantly being yelled at for little things, like I remember. All right, guys, don't call me Nazi, but I'm gonna take my gum out of my mouth because I'm not speaking properly. I remember I would laugh for whatever reason. I would remember things while I was at dinner with my mom or with my dad, and I would laugh, and they hated it. They would always get angry because I guess on one hand it was like, you're being weird, like you're literally just laughing at yourself. They had no idea what I was laughing about, and there'd be times where I just couldn't control it. Like I had to fight the urge so bad to where what I would do is I pretend like I would fight the urge to laugh, and then I like nod my head, like trying to almost like shake it out of my mind, trying to shake it like there's nothing funny, nothing funny. It could be little things like that. And then when we get to things like pornography and whatnot, I don't even think I need to explain why people would turn to pornography. I don't even like talking about it, but if you put two and two together, it's because you're lonely. Because you're lonely, simple as that. You're lonely, you're empty, and you want to feel full, you want to feel fulfilled. Pornography, binge eating, video games, because we all know inherently that these things are bad for you. All right, video games, they're not going to turn you into a psychopath killing machine like the media says they will, like the news outlets say that, like, oh, this guy played Call of Duty, so he ended up shooting up the school. I don't think that's true. I don't think the two are correlated, but we all know that it's a time waster. You know, you're wasting time in a digital world when you could be using it in the real world. So I could talk about this for hours and hours on end, but I always want these videos to end with applicable advice that you can take away and you can use in real life. Reflect. I've been writing a lot lately, and I've just been writing about life. You can literally write about whatever, right? There's no guidelines to writing. Just write. Sit down and write, pen and paper, or if you have like a note tab, a Samsung, what is it called? A Galaxy tab, the one that I have, or an iPad with a stylus, just write. Just write and recall to, like, just figure out what moves you, what drives you, what motivates you. What are you running away from exactly? And when it comes to things like goals, really ask yourself why. Why do you want to be fit? Is it because you were bullied when you were fat? Is it because you felt unloved when you were fat? You know, like, these things could run deep. Is it because your dad, once he was getting you dressed up and he said you need to lose a couple of pounds, you're looking fat as hell? These things run deep. You know, why do you love eating chips? Is it because you used to be restricted from eating chips when you were a little kid? Is it because when you used to go get a bag of chips from the pantry, your parents would say no? This doesn't make them bad people per se, but when you're a child or when you're younger, the way you perceive things is very different, right? You don't have the mature mindset that you do now. I'm not saying this is an excuse to find reasons to resent your mom and dad or resent the people around you. I just want you to, like, truly understand why. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? It's really powerful and it's really insightful, and it'll, like, it almost like exposes a whole new side of the world of your life that you didn't even realize was there. So I'm not going to speak anymore. Just reflect on your life, and hopefully you get some answers. You know, you get some answers that you've been waiting for quite some time. That'd be easy.